Performance Line. Dana, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
So first and foremost, UFC 210, Cormier Johnson going to be taking place in the great city of Buffalo, New York. Get your wings now. Pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. What are you most excited about with this fight?
It's a good card. I mean, there's a few fights. Obviously, the main event, Cormier versus Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson is one of the scariest, most dangerous guys in the division. Knockout power. But Cormier, Cormier's seen it all. He's fought everybody. I mean, he fought at heavyweight, and he's been at light heavyweight pretty much since he's been in the UFC. So, obviously, a fun fight there. Chris Weidman versus Gegard Mousasi is an amazing fight. That's the co-main event. And there's a woman fight. Cynthia Cavillo is her name, and she's new to the UFC. Her last fight, she looked like a rock star. So I turned her around, brought her right back against another tough woman in Pearl Gonzalez. I'm really excited for that fight.
Dana, you told a great story the other night on Conan O'Brien about you fighting Tito Ortiz. Can you tell me that story real quick? Like, what happened?
Well, obviously, we were a lot younger, and it was right after we bought the company. We were flying to Japan to go out there and look at an event, and we had just landed to refuel, and Tito and I were messing around, and Tito put me in what's called a neck crank, and I tapped, and when I tapped, he didn't stop, and it's a dangerous move. You can herniate discs. You can do a lot of damage to somebody's neck, so I just started punching him in the ribs as hard as I could, and he let go, and we both just jumped up swinging and started fighting, and the plane was actually taking off up into the air.
And it was real, like you guys were ticked.
Oh, no, we were fighting. Oh, yeah, it was real. And the Fertittas had to jump up and break the fight up, and yeah.
How many fighters have tried
the good
you?
old days of the UFC.
Has anybody else tried you? Has any other fighters tried you like that?
No, I've never been. Listen, the last thing I'm looking to do is get in a fight with any UFC fighters. That was a weird situation.
Yeah, it's probably not good business to mess with the boss either.
Yeah, no, it's not good business to fight with UFC fighters either.
Right.
It's definitely not good. It's not good for your future.
UFC 210, Cormier Johnson 2, taking place Saturday, April 8th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. The event airing live on pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. It's been an amazing journey, Dana. I'm sure that you're obviously in the moment and focusing on the fights that are in front of you. But I was just thinking about the fact I interviewed you years ago when I used to work at the Score back in Toronto, and just how big UFC was in Ontario at the time. It was a big deal that we could finally get those fights there. Have you? I'm sure you're not the reflective type, but have you looked at this journey the last 5-7 years you've been on and even been amazed at it yourself?
Yeah, I have my moments. The way that I look at it is I still see, where we're going. The sport's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But yeah, I obviously look back and think about where we were in the early days. And, people always ask me, did you ever really think that it would be this big? I know you're a promoter and you used to say this stuff back in the day, but yeah, I absolutely did believe it. I believed in this thing because I've always said this, and it's absolutely true. Doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter what country you're from, doesn't matter what language you speak. We're all human beings, and fighting is in our DNA. We get it and we like it. It works everywhere.
Dana, I feel like you must get tired of getting asked the question of Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, the fight, if it happens. So I'm not going to ask about that one specifically. But if it happened, do you think it would open up other opportunities for crossover fights, or would that be a one-and-done type deal?
Yeah, I don't get tired of it. It's an intriguing fight. It really is intriguing. If you break the thing down and listen, everybody has their opinions, and I'm not saying who's going to win or lose, but Floyd's 40 years old. Conor's 27. Floyd has trouble with southpaws. Conor's a southpaw. Conor has, knockout power in both hands, and Floyd does not. So it's an intriguing fight. And no, I don't like the idea of it opening up a bunch of different crossover fights. But now that this thing's been talked about so big, it's all everybody wants to talk about now. And my guy is saying they want to fight that guy, and other boxers saying they want to fight this guy. No, this is going to be a one and done.
As far as I know, it's a one and done, but just one more for you, Dana. As far as athletes who would be great at UFC and other sports, and I'm sure you hear this all the time. If you had an option, like imagine LeBron James in the octagon. Do you guys ever just
get Gronk?
Gronk. Is there a name that you think, you know what, he really would dominate if he was in our discipline?
No, it's true. Absolutely. I'm a huge Patriots fan, and they always ask me, which Patriots. I mean, Gronk is a no-brainer. If you look at a guy like Gronk or a guy like LeBron, if those guys trained in mixed martial arts when they were kids, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't see them transitioning into MMA now, but when they were kids, if this is what they would have focused on, yeah, they'd be studs.
How long would Brady last?
Well, Brady, that's the thing about Brady. Brady's so gritty and tough, and everybody's been talking about, backup quarterbacks for Brady all these years. Well, it finally got played out last year. I mean, the two guys, they had to go to the third string. Everybody was getting hurt, and they both got hurt. Brady goes in and plays all season long. He plays whether he's hurt or not. It's just, the guy's a stud.
How many NBA players would it take to take down an MMA fighter?
How many NBA players? I would say that the fighting has got better in the NBA. Back in the day, it used to look like slap fighting. NBA players were like the worst fighters in all of sports, but it's getting better.
They were king of the hold me back. They were king of that.
Exactly. Yeah, that too.
Awesome.
Great stuff. Once again, as always, our friend Dana White. Cormier Johnson taking place Saturday, April 8th, KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. Live pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much for the time, man.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.